Hi everyone, Gossip Girl here. Looks like Penn Badgley. Series finale for his show You, where he is Joe Goldberg. And you know what? It looks like him and Justin Baldoni kind of know each other pretty well. We'll get to that after we discuss the last season of You. Penn Badgley as Joe Goldberg faces past battle in You final season. You final season shows Joe Goldberg face to face with his past crimes. And this report comes from thenews.com.pk. Netflix released the first trailer for season finale of You, and Penn Badgley as Joe Goldberg is back in his stalker era. It's a really good show, really good book series. The thrilling trailer was released on Monday, March 10th, and it showed the serial unaliver and his wife after their return to New York City. Hello, you. You're back in the greatest city in the world, thanks to the one person who can make it possible. Penn Badgley narrates as the trailer begins. Fame definitely took some getting used to, but to live happily ever after, you had to bury your old self. In the past season, Joe had been living a clean life abroad, starting afresh as Professor Jonathan Moore. But this season once again strikes the temptation to continue his past habits as he meets Bronte, played by Madeline Brewer. You have a great life. It's not worth the risk, Joe is heard telling himself. On the other hand, Joe's wife, Kate Lockwood, played by Charlotte Ritchie, is confronted with a threat from her twin sisters to want her to step down as CEO. The situation revives Joe's past ways as he prepares to get rid of Kate's sisters. You want us to unalive everyone who's suspicious of us for the rest of our lives? His wife asks. Joe responds, is that so wrong if it's for the right reasons? The dialogue follows a sequence of Joe performing brutal acts as he concludes with a final message addressing to viewers. As for you, we're not done with each other yet. The fifth and final season of You is set to premiere April 24th. So together, I figured we would review and check this quick, short little clip that was from Pod Crushed Podcast with Penn Badgley interviewing Justin Baldoni. And the talk about masculinity is brought up. So, awkward.
What did start this deep dive?
The dive started in my 20s. The dive started around the time I met my wife, 27, 28, and our very confusing early dating life.
Wait, hold on. What do you mean? If you don't mind, what do you mean?
I write about it actually in the final chapter, the chapter Boys Will Be Knights. I knew immediately that she was my person. It was like, I just knew. It was like
I believe him. Just the way he's able to just express that so easy shows he actually is very in tune with emotions, and he himself has even said it that he believes he is a people person. That's why he tends to be a people pleaser, and that's unfortunately why Blake was able to walk all over him. But to see these two in an interview podcast together is a little odd. I believe it's from 2023, which obviously Blake was already working or in talks with Justin. So I wonder if there was a little bit of Blake using connections or being like, hey, can you bring Justin Baldoni on your podcast? We're going to be eventually working on a project together. It would be good to get, some more press for him. If I do that for him, maybe he'll give me more involvement in the movie. Who knows?
every fiber of my being that I met my soulmate, and she didn't know. And nobody prepared me for that. Nobody prepares you for when you know with your whole being, and then the person doesn't know. And I was just infatuated with her. I was in love, and we weren't even, full on dating yet. I just knew she was my person. And And, you know, it was very confusing because you're taught in many ways growing up that as a man, you should play it cool and not show,
Of course.
you know, keep it all inside, not show too much. You don't want to be overwhelming.
Earlier when you said that I'm very calm, that's all I'm doing.
That's all you're doing?
That's all I'm doing I've just learned to play it extremely cool. Don't let any feeling out.
But you're very good at it. You're very good at it. There's a whole world happening inside is what you're saying. And yeah, so it was just really confusing. So I remember I talked about it in the book, and I warned young boys, but she called it my puppy dog phase, where I was just, like, if we went to a party, I wouldn't want to talk to anybody else, right? So if she left, I would like look to see where she was because I'd be kind of inevitably bored with whoever I was talking to.
So in other words, he was infatuated, but at the same time, I think it's also because he's a little socially awkward. So if he feels close enough to someone or comfortable, he kind of wants to stay attached. Where some people would find that like, oh, it's like a puppy dog following me around, or they would make it into a negative, being like, oh, he's so annoying. But honestly, the more and more I watch, read, or look into Justin Baldoni, I think what you see is actually what you get.
And I'd want to go find her and be around her. And what I didn't know is that was suffocating her. You know, the rules of masculinity told me.
Told you, following me around so much. It's a sad puppy dog. It's pathetic. Or maybe she's not that harsh about it, but she was just like, man, I don't know if I want to stay dating or seeing this guy or even thinking about it. He's a little too much and, you know, doesn't give me my space. You got to find that balance.
To quote unquote get the girl, and I am using possessive language intentionally, right? Which is what we're taught. To get the girl.
Put her in a cage.
See how he is very mindful and careful. Blake Baldoni's Blake Baldoni. Oh my God, no. Blake Lively's ex-boyfriend, ex-co-star from Gossip Girl says a joke where obviously it has to deal with his character, Joe, in the show You on Netflix. Throw the girl in a box or a cage. Oh my God.
Put her in a cage. That's it. That's it. I had to like be a version of myself that was interesting or mysterious, or I had to, you know, put on a mask and not show too much. And I was actually trying to do the opposite intentionally. I'm like, no, I am going to show her who I really am. I'm going to just, if I want to be around her, I'm going to be around her. If I want to call her, I'm not going to play this game. I'm going to call her. And she.
So even with relationships, pursuing someone, he tried so hard to just, you know, hey, maybe I should do it this way. But then he said, I'm just going to show her who I am. And he sees the bigger picture where it's like, look, if I want long term with her, I'm not going to hide my true identity and I'm not going to play a different role. And then eventually there's going to be a switch and I'm going to be myself around her. Maybe she won't like that. So being upfront, honest, true to yourself in learning and meeting people, that is the right way to do it. And obviously, I think, in my opinion and speculation, when it came to him and Blake, I think he tried everything he could to be open, honest himself. But then Blake got a little bit difficult behind the scenes, taking over things, and he didn't want to step on any toes because he knows she has a bigger name than him. She's married to somebody that's famous in Hollywood, and her parents have some strength and pull in the industry. Being a people pleaser, which is his weakness, I guess he ended bending to Blake. But when it came to love and outside of the career, real life, he did things correctly where he just opened up and said, look, I'm going to be myself. Which makes me think during the making and filming of the movie, It Ends With Us, he had this same struggle. Should I be myself? Should I bow down to her? Should I give her a little leeway? Should I stand on my ground and not let her touch anything and possibly lose this actress and the whole movie goes to shit? You got to think about his situation here. We have the proof. We have the evidence. We've seen it all. The movie was hijacked by Blake and then eventually Ryan. So we cannot deny that. So it just seems like this guy could have a real amazing talent as a writer or producer or director, whatever. Obviously, he's been an actor, but he likes more control and the bigger picture instead of being on screen. And this might be why he's not a huge name for that. Now he's a huge name because of the drama, but it might be because he is socially awkward in some situations, a people pleaser, where he doesn't stick to his guns and follow through with things. Maybe he does get intimidated and manipulated. So it all makes sense to me, the argument between him and Blake and how his transparency has been with his lawyer creating that website, putting all that out there. That says a lot.
Had never been exposed to that. So here's this woman in her, mid, late 20s, and had never met a guy who was this open and vulnerable, and she had no clue what to do with me. And so I was like suffocating her with my passion and my intensity and my love, and it pushed her away. And then I didn't know what to do. And so I was like, wait, but I thought I was doing it right.
People like him are not everybody's cup of tea. Some people like the attachment, and some people like to be totally independent in their relationships.
Was doing the opposite of what I've always done. And here I was like pushing the one person I thought I was supposed to be with away. And come to realize that my intentions were not really pure. But in reality, I was acting extremely codependently. I was needing her versus wanting her. And
wow, that takes a lot for a man to come out and say that. And this is not a sexist comment at all. Majority of men do not talk about their feelings or emotions. And unfortunately, I hate to say it, sorry guys, a lot of you do not think this clearly and purposefully in a situation like this. So I give him a lot of credit.
She was picking up on that energy. It was a little bit of a stickiness. So that's what I mean by like a strange dating life, because we never had a honeymoon phase. We just dove right in and we were like, oh wait, we have some polarity issues we have to figure out. And thank God, because here we are.
Do you mean after getting married?
No, in dating.
Okay.
Like early on in dating, like we didn't just, have a honeymoon phase, get married, and then figure out our stuff. We spent 1.5 years really investigating character, serving together, figuring out like, okay, why is this awkward? What's happening here?
To me, this tells me he's a very deep, caring person, which we know Blake kind of is not. So this, oh my God, this battle, this drama between him and Blake is the perfect recipe and ingredients for disaster chaos. Oh my God. Whew. Let's continue.
What's happening with our polarity? What am I doing? What are you doing? And then digging in. And it was because of that work, I really believe we built a strong foundation that set us up for, here we are in year 9. And I've never imagined that I could have a marriage as happy and healthy as I have right now. Like I never thought that like I'm going on year 10 that I would be falling more in love with the person that I'm with.
Seems very thankful.
Because you hear the opposite. You hear men talk about marriage and like, oh, well, if you ever want to have sex again, don't get married. And you hear the ball and chain thing, and that's not at all my experience.
Yeah, no, I mean, mine either. And I think actually the way growing up that all people, but particularly men, spoke about marriage to me.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
and made you not want to get married.
Well, beyond that, it also implied that the second you make a commitment, I don't know, like everything sucks and women become awful. And so there's so much that is implicit in saying that about marriage that actually if you follow the logic, it's saying so much more than that. It really is saying so much more than that. It renders people into objects. It makes trust virtually impossible.
Yeah.
You know, it's like it does so many implicit things that I can hardly think of a positive male role model growing up. I mean, honestly.
Ooh, that was a deep breath right there.
And I've said that before in this. I don't want to go into that and bore people with my story.
Man, if we could only go back in time, be in the room for the whole interview, and then have these two in a room together right now, I wonder what the conversation would be like. So right here on Instagram, I clicked to see who Penn Badgley is following, and it looks like... And look who it is. Justin Baldoni. He does follow him. Now, does he follow Blake? Nope. Does he follow Ryan? Nope. Maybe we need to find out a little bit more about Penn and Blake's past relationship. We know the rumors were that she cheated on him while she went to go allegedly film The Green Lantern, where she met and worked with Ryan Reynolds. And if you watched my previous videos, you would see we discussed about the journalist and the cast and crew, makeup team, how people had seen them. Yeah, not just on set in New Orleans, but also after hours. Lordy, lordy. Thanks so much for joining me, and shout out to you, Lisa Boo. See you all again real soon. I'm Linda, and that was For the Record, Your Honor.